Next up, we want to look at creating some path nodes to help our Goomba find his way inside of the environment that we create. So basically these path nodes are just going to be a trigger box, and a trigger box that is just going to send a message to our Goomba to go left, to go right, to stop, or to jump, or to do some sort of action. So it's kind of like just a red light, green light kind of thing. So to do that, we're going to need to create a basic game object. And with that game object, we'll just do Control-Shift-N. We're going to use that as our trigger box. Let's just label this as our path node. And you notice we've opened up our path node script right in here. And we'll go ahead and just drag our path node script on our path node game object just to get it attached and set up. And we'll take a look at our header over here on our path node, the path node helper. We're basically using a help control to help control the logic of the Goomba as it moves throughout the world. Now this is going to be a trigger event, so we are going to be working with our function onTriggerEnter. And what we want to do is set up the different states that our trigger can make our Goomba go through. And those states are going to be somewhat familiar because they are the states that the Goomba can actually be in. So we're going to set up enumeration. And with this one, we'll do a path instruction, which is a good way to call it because we are just instructing him along this path. So let's say we're going to move left. Just like before, we'll do move right. We'll do a move stop. And let's do a jump air. Okay, so this gets us up for the basic states that we're going to be working with. And let's make this equal to our path instruction. So we'll do a path instruction dot what? Let's say a dot move stop. Okay, so we've got the states that we want to be able to switch him through. We've got an initial value set up to the move stop, and we have our function onTrigger for our collider. So if we're going to collide with something, or something collides with us, we do want to check for what's colliding with us. If this is the player, we don't want to accidentally change the player up. We want to change just the Goomba. So let's check for a tag on this one. So we'll say if other.tag is equal to, and if we recall with our Goomba, he's tagged with enemy. So if he's tagged with enemy, then let's do something. What is that something? Well, we could change our path instruction. We could go back through and do a number of different things. Right now, what we simply want to do is say, on a trigger event, let's just print something. Our Goomba is here, just to make sure things work the way we want them to. We'll save that one out. We'll go on back over here. We do have a couple of errors, and let's see where we're at. We've got at line 12. So we have a simple typing mistake right in here. Save that back out. Alright, so with our path node, we've got our path instruction. We can set what is this path actually going to do. And if we play right now, it's not really going to do anything because we don't have a collision box. So let's set up this path node so that we can check for a trigger event. We'll go to our component, our physics, we'll go over to a box collider, and on this box collider, we're simply going to set it as isTrigger. And let's make sure that we've got it at a size that's appropriate to what we're dealing with here. Let's go ahead and make this about a 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. There we go. And we'll slide it over just a little bit. Okay, so if we set this right in here, let's actually increase our home range just a little bit. Go back to our path node, and what we want to happen here is we want the Goomba to go to the path node, hit the path node, and then do what? We want him to change his pathing instruction. Well, now if we run it right now, and we say, okay, the Goomba's about to hit there, we found out, well, we did hit it, it says the Goomba's here, but the Goomba really didn't do anything yet. Well, it's because we haven't actually checked or sent information back. Now we could say, well, the Goomba triggered here. Well, let's go ahead and have the Goomba change its position from here, or we can change that position from the enemy Goomba's script over here. And just to keep things a little more organized, we're actually going to check it and change it from the Goomba script. And we'll set up a onTrigger enter right in here. And on this onTrigger enter, what are we going to do? Just like before, we want to say, well, did I hit something? If I did, what is it? So we're going to check for an other. We'll check for a tag if it's equal to. Let's go ahead and set this to a path node. Have we created a tag for path node? Not yet. We'll go ahead and set it up for one. So let's say path node. So we'll go up to our tags. We'll say add a tag. And inside the tag, we're just going to add a path node tag. We'll go back over to our path node, set the tag to path node. That way, when we're checking for a tag, we can make sure that it is what it's supposed to be. Now we want to just make an instance of our path node. We want to link over to the path node and then get information about what that path instruction is. That way we can change the state of our Goomba. So let's go in and just say variable. We'll say it like this. We'll say a link to path node, which is a simple way of saying that we're going to be getting our component, and that component is our path node script. So basically at this point we're just getting and storing a variable, and then we're making an instance of it, and then we want to say our Goomba state is going to equal what? Well, it's going to equal the path node link dot path instruction. And that path instruction is simply our path instruction right here for whatever we set it to. So let's hit save on this one. We'll go back over. We'll hit play. And when our Goomba hits that spot, our Goomba stops and idles. So just from this simple one right in here, we can see how this is a really great way of communicating to our enemy player, to this Goomba inside of our level. We could very easily go through and set up nodes at each corner, and then have the Goomba, when it gets to this corner, he turns back the other way. When it gets to this corner, he turns back the other way. Or if he gets to a point, he simply stops. He could stop and wait. Whatever the logic is that we want to build into this trigger, instead of building all of that logic into our Goomba. And or just sort of allowing us to control the logic that's in the Goomba. Okay, So that gets us set up with a very basic start for this. And what we want to do next is expand on this and do a little bit more for controlling the number of times these paths are used, or what these path nodes can actually do. And we'll look at that next.